Let's start with Jordan Wright. Easy decision to give him a new contract?
Yeah, I think he's been excellent all year. I think he deserves it. As I said tonight, we've beat the drum quite aggressively on him. You know, he deserves it. I think he's going to make a really good number one when the time is right. And he's got great attributes. 6'7", kicks well, makes really big saves. I think he's got to be a little bit more dominant than his crossing, coming for crosses, but top pro. And we're quite fortunate with the keepers here, with himself and Carl and Sam as well, who's got a big future ahead of him.
You talk about the time is right. Could that be next season?
I think one thing we haven't done this season is start looking too far ahead. You know, Jordan's I think he had 10 plus games last year. Due to circumstances, all his games this year have come on merit. Couple through injury and Carl being away, but you know, he's been immense in all the cup games. It was always the plan for him to play. I think that would be an ongoing conversation for sure, but he's definitely a huge part of our thinking.
And I guess you've talked a lot about the loan situation. I guess it eases up a little bit and gives you a bit more freedom if you don't have to have a lone goalkeeper next season. Yeah,
it's a catch-22, Rob, because if you'd have asked me when I came into the club what my thoughts are on a lone keeper, I would have been against it, because it can only play in one position, whereas an outfield player. But actually, the value you can get from a lone keeper is phenomenal, and you've seen with the keepers that the club's had here, without going through the whole list, you know, and Josh Griffiths and Palmer, people like that, you can get a real top grade A keeper very cheaply. But what I think we do really well, because it's not about that, is we develop them and we clearly take them to the next level. So it's a two-way street. You help us and we'll help you. But every keeper that's come here has been outstanding, and I think we've played a huge part in the development. So it's balancing up those two things, value for money, and then obviously everything's got a negative and a pro and a con, basically.
When it comes to contracts for the rest of the players that are out of contract, are you expecting anything else to be done before the summer, or do you think those deals will now and discussions will continue until post-season?
Yeah, good question. So those conversations we've had in-house have been constant. All I really want to do is focus on the next game, the next 4 games, and then sit down and have that. It'd be unfair of me to talk about that here on camera without talking to certain people, but what I can say is, you know, we've had multiple conversations. We're not going to sit down at the end of the season and go, right guys, what we're doing. I mean, it's constantly evolving, it's constantly ongoing. So we've spent a lot of time, a lot of minutes and a lot of hours on that. But for now, I would just like to focus on the next 4 games.
And do you think that finishing strongly in these final 4 games, as well for your own personal achievement and for the team's achievement personally, but it can help attract players in the summer because they'll see a progressive club rather than a club that are on the slide at the end of the season wondering what might happen? Yeah,
look, I think, well, personal is not about me. No, you didn't kind of really mean that. Personal is not about me at all. It's about the club. But I think the club has proven it's progressive. I think when you look where the club was 10 years ago, look where attendances were, look what league they were in, look where we are now, look what the previous managers have done before. I would hope I've added to that this year. So I think, and you can only measure people over the course of time. I think the club has proven itself undoubtedly that it's a progressive club and it's moving in the right direction. I know from my time not being here, and I say that it had a very attractive reputation in outside world of football, in terms of the things it's doing, the things it does for loans, giving youth a chance, giving young players a chance. If you look at the minutes we've had for young players this year, we're right up there in the EFL. I think Sean Rowan alone is in the top 10 for minutes in under 21, same with us in the league. So and having come into the club, I've seen that everything I thought it was is absolutely correct.
Danny Mandroya and Ben House, what's the latest on those two?
We've looked after them today. We've erred on the side of caution today, so we'll know more tomorrow, but I haven't got a definitive answer as yet. They're not out and they're not in, basically.
And the fact that there's a game on Tuesday, does that make things easier in terms of decision making?
Not in terms of that question, Rob, purely because if they're fit, they're fit. If they're not fit, they're not fit. So I'll always be guided. I'm a big believer in staying in your lane. I'm not a sports scientist, I'm not a physio. Kieran and Mark Pease are 2 really high level guys. I've been very respectful of those all year. I think we work brilliantly well together. if they say somebody's a no, he's a no. I've never once gone against them, or I've never once questioned. I've put loads of questions into why, but I've never once questioned their opinion, if that makes sense. So I'll always be guided by those guys, and likewise they let me sort the football out. Not saying I'm any good at it, but they don't question me on that.
Wycombe had a certain reputation under Gareth Ainsworth. Do they still play in a similar manner under Matt Bloomfield? Have they changed at all?
I think Matt's... look, there's plenty of ways to skin a cat. Garrett's an outstanding manager. I think what he's done at Wycombe is nothing short of phenomenal. Matt will want to be his own person. I think he's done really, really well. He's got a huge reputation as a coach, and deservedly so. I think at the minute, you can't just go from A to Z. It's impossible. I don't care what manager comes in. But I can see already that Matt is putting his own stamp on things for sure.
And the fact that they're in almost a similar position to Barnsley on Tuesday, knowing that they need results to go their way, but they also need to get results, is that good to go up against a team like that, having that pressure on them a little bit of what to do?
I've no idea how Matt or his team are feeling, or what potential pressure he is or isn't under from fans, boards, and I keep saying this, all we do is focus on ourselves.
And focusing on yourselves, I guess, just to continue the unbeaten run. You had a great unbeaten run around January, February time. I guess it's just trying to replicate that up until the end of the season and get to towards the 10-game mark. Yeah,
we just want to win as many games as we had. We've just had a post-match debrief on the game, but the things we finished on, apart from the obvious things which are football-wise, is just maxing each other and being the best that we can be, and trying to finish as high as we can. And basically trying to win every game. Is it possible? Yes. Will it happen? I don't know. We'll soon find out. But we haven't played one game this year that we've gone into not believing anything other than we can win, and Saturday will be no different.
And you had a good record against the top teams, which we've talked about this season. Is there anything in particular that is it just a mentality standpoint when you come up against the bigger teams? Is it the way you set your team up? Does it suit playing against those teams? What do you think it is? What's the secret to your success against those top teams, do you think?
I think we're a very good team. So I think the reason we've done so well in the league as a whole is because we've got a really good group of staff, we've got a really good group of players, we've got a really good recruitment model. It's just a really good club with high-end people, with talented, creative people. And the presentation we done post-game, although it was very tactical, it was basically around desire and mentality, and that's something that I can't really give you desire. You've either got it, you don't. I can help you with it, I can help bring it out, I can help make it better, but if you don't constantly put your body on the line for your teammates and put them before you, well, one, you won't be here, and two, you're not going to last very long in life. But I think ultimately, I think we are a good side.
And when you want to look to add to your squad in the summer, again, it's sometimes hard to see day in, day out if players have desire or mentality until they join, but is that a key component of what you want a Lincoln City player to have? Yeah,
100%. So before we even get into the football side, and if you looked at four corner models of tactical, technical and psychological and physical, if you haven't got an availability to train and play, you won't be here. And if you haven't got a mentality we can handle, keep using this word, high octane volcanic environment, because that's what it is, then you won't be here. What we have to really work hard on is finding out those answers before the players come in. But I think with the people we've got, the contacts we got, our knowledge in the game, the standard of a recruitment team, I think they're boxes we should be able to tick quite easily. Sometimes you get it wrong, sometimes it doesn't come out. I think if anybody comes in that doesn't have those, will come in because we've decided collectively that that person's worth the risk. But I don't see myself signing people like that.
And I know you said you can't give it to people, but for young players in particular, can it be coaxed out of them if they've not shown it yet, or do you think it is just something that's innate? Yes,
no, I think it can. Some people just need help, Rob. So we've got a player in our club who's a really talented player, really, really good, and I've sat down with him this year and had an honest, strong, but loving conversation around what needs to change, and if it doesn't change, there's no future here with me. Because that's the reality of football. And since we had the conversation, he's just massively bought into what we've gone, and his physical numbers have just completely changed. And he just needed a bit of guidance, a bit of understanding of what you think is. You say to players, if I said to you, mark yourselves out of 10 today, and you might say, 7, 7, 8, 9, 9, we might be going 5, 5, 7, 6, 4. So it's understanding what good looks like, what elite looks like. And I'm not saying I am, I'm saying we're trying to educate people on that. I mean, it's the name above our training ground. And I think on the whole, the lads are very, very close to that on a daily basis.
And have those conversations you've had to have, have they surprised you that you've had to have them as a head coach in your first year here? Or did you expect to be having more conversations about tactics, about patterns of play, but actually those conversations in terms of mentality are probably more key than others?
Yeah, look, it's not something I really thought about before I came in. I can't really answer your question. Like, none of the players have a poor mentality. They've all got an outstanding mentality. It's just making them try to understand what it can take. And I think because I'm 46, maybe, I don't know, because I played football and I constantly say to the lads, look, I wasn't very good, but I've lived what you've lived. I think people like myself and Danny and Tom and Scotty is a very young coach, but he's walked in a really top academy with top people. I think it would be negligent and wrong of us not to try and educate and pass on experience, which was that. And I've had loads of bad experiences, but I try to use them to help people, and we've all had some good ones. So I think it's just, I had brunch last week with somebody who's managed over 1,000 games, and I've known her for 20 years, and I just peppered him with questions because he knows a lot more than me. He's had much bigger and better experiences than me, and some tough ones. So it's wrong, I think, not to listen to good people. And we have got the youngest squad in the league, but we've got quite, and with people like Mike, when Mike was here, there's huge experience in the building. So I think it's only right that you try and pass it on, and the good ones will listen and the others will ignore you. And sometimes we won't always be right. I've got loads of things wrong this year, trust me. The important thing is you learn from it.